One of the things in mindfulness practice that we learn for ourselves just through sitting and observing is that so much of the time our sense of difficulty or discomfort, when we observe it, is not really always to do with what's happening as much as our own thoughts and feelings about what's happening. And so in this practice we'll see how we might approach this. We'll perhaps loosen that sense of identifying with our thoughts and our feelings of whatever we're experiencing right now, and see what that presents us with. So first, just really tune into your body. Just feel how it is from the inside, your sitting posture. Your head nice and balanced on your spine. Let your hands just be somewhere comfortable. By also maybe just feeling those places where we're touching the floor or a chair, the wall behind us. It's those very simple, very obvious meeting points between our body and something else. Not just being intellectually aware, but feel the actual sense of pressure. Of course, once we start observing the body, we come to notice the breathing. There's no need for us to try and lengthen it or deepen it in any way. This is not a breathing practice. So let it be. Don't let any effort that's here for any reason, let it go for a little while. There's nothing to attain here, there's nothing to reach for. These practices don't work that way. Just drop everything. You can feel your body. You can feel your breath. The breath like something that's happening to you rather than something you're doing. And notice here, in the same way, here inside your mind, you can be aware of the feeling of your body or the feeling of your breathing. Here you might also be aware of any thoughts that arise, or maybe you're feeling some particular way. But in the same way as we can just observe the breathing and let it be, any mental activity, just simply observe it. Notice if a thought comes in, but then just leave it alone. Let it be. And just with the feelings of the body and just with that breath that comes in and out. There's no need to do anything with it. No need to judge it or take hold of it. Just let it be. So any thought that arises, you simply can notice it. You might notice what it's about, but you just let it alone. You don't interact with it. You don't feed it. You don't push it away either. You just leave it alone. Let it just be there. Let it do its thing. what if a memory arises? Well, that too is just another thing in the mind, isn't it? It's just another thought, maybe a picture or a little conversation. Same thing. You can notice it's there, and leave it be. That means not interacting with it. You're not pushing it away, you're not trying to change it, you're not getting involved in it either. You're just let it go, let it settle, let it do its own thing. What if you have a little thought that says something like, oh, I wonder if I'm doing this practice right? Oh. That too is just another thought. It's just another thing that arises here in the mind. With that too, you can notice it, but don't engage, don't involve yourself with it, just leave it be. Let it sit around or let it go, it doesn't matter. Leave it be. Let thoughts settle in their own time. They come and go as they please. But you can also just let them settle and go as they please. Any questions about what we're doing? Any ideas that come to mind about this practice? Or maybe the thought of, how can I remember this practice? They're just thoughts. You can notice them, see them for what they are, and just leave them be. You're not engaging. You're not involving yourself with anything that arises. You're not identifying with the thoughts. You see them arise. And you can notice when they leave. Any sense of time, like, well, what's going to happen next? What is that? If you notice it, isn't that just another thought? You can notice it and leave it be. It's just this, just now. And so being aware of this space that you might call the mind, or it might be your awareness, or your conscious. But this space in which you notice all these things, your breathing that comes and goes, any thoughts or feelings that arise, you just let everything be. And this space, this simply knowing things, being aware, aware of breath coming and going, being aware that a thought pops in and hangs around a bit and maybe disappears. Being aware that you're here in some fashion in the world. This simple experience, being aware, awake, alert. Because what else is here? Well, your senses are here, of course. Still sounds happening. You still feel your body and anything that's happening here. Even behind closed eyes, your eyes are still working. Patterns of light, dark perhaps, are being noticed. If there's anything to smell, you can smell it. And if there's anything to taste, you can taste it. And all these things get noted here. This wakefulness, this alertness, this being conscious, knowing things, experiencing. And you can see here that there is the experiencing, there is the awareness of these things, and there are the things themselves, the sounds, the thoughts. But this alertness, this being awake, alive to all these experiences, just rest here as that. Just being awake to all that's happening. It's very simple. It's this thing that separates us from a brick or a piece of wood. Here, noticing simply, observing how thoughts might rise, but we don't get involved, we don't touch them. We see them just as thoughts, and they slowly go. Moods too, feelings, emotions, they rise up and can be noticed. They can be respected, they can be listened to, but also we can just leave them be here. We don't need to fix them, we don't need to do anything with them. We can just leave them be. Let them be here or let them go. Let them decide. We rest here in this space of just being aware. Feelings in the body arise, we are aware of them, we notice them. We notice how all these things change, they come and they go. One moment we feel a feeling in the body, the next we don't. So all these experiences change. They come and they go. One experience replaced by another, by another. And yet this being awake, this being alive to notice all these things, it's still here while we're here. The thoughts that arise and say, you've got to listen to me, this is important. We see them just as thoughts. They're part of our experience, but we can notice for ourselves that they're not us. Because we're still here, aren't we, when the thoughts disappear. And how different is it to be able to observe thinking just as it happens, not to try and change it or fix it in some way, but to simply observe it and notice that we are separate from the thinking. We can notice for ourselves, does this place in which we're just aware of all these things happening, does this get affected by the nature of a thought? If a thought arises and it's a happy thought, or if a thought arises as in a sad or anxious thought, if we observe it simply as arising, as what it is, then is this place of knowing changed in any way? When we go to the cinema and watch a film, if we see a movie and it features a flood and a great storm with rain, is the cinema screen itself, does that get wet when we turn the projector off? No, it's unchanged. If we show a film and there's fires and great heat, does the screen itself melt or burn? No. It's unchanged by whatever is shown. In the same way, can you notice if the screen of your mind is affected by anything that falls on it? Happy thoughts, sad thoughts, they come and they go, but the screen of the mind, this awareness, unaffected, unchanged. And this feeling that you might have right now, perhaps it's peaceful, perhaps it feels still, perhaps you feel at ease. This is not something that we've just created. Check for yourself, is this something that we've made? Or is it just a natural state of your mind, a natural state of that place of being aware, being conscious? It's this natural state when we don't identify with the thoughts that we're thinking or the moods that cross our minds. And so this resource is always here. It's not just in the background, it is the background to our experience. It's the background in which everything else is allowed to play out upon. And so at any time we can remember not to focus on the images and the thoughts and the sounds being experienced, but on the screen on which they're played. The space, the stillness of this mind, of this awareness. Always here.